Welcome to another episode of the Fast Modes Quick Chat series. I'm your host, Tara, and joining us today is Stephen Kowal, Chief Commercial Officer at Nextivity. Nextivity is a leading intelligent cellular coverage solution vendor headquartered in San Diego, California. The company's Cell 5 portfolio, powered by the proprietary IntelliBoost chip, enhances cellular performance in real time and delivers unbeatable coverage for organizations, homes, and vehicles in over 100 countries.
Thank you so much for having me on. Nextivity is an intelligent cellular coverage company based out of San Diego, and we operate on over 200 networks around the world in 90 different countries. So our solutions, they bring the outdoor macro network indoors primarily. That's our Cell 5 brand. We also recently launched the ability to introduce private networks into buildings so you can run your public and private network over the same solution. So I'm real excited to talk to you about that today and get into the questions.
Okay, great. So let's dive in. Our first question for today is how do private LTE and private 5G networks address the connectivity needs of organizations? Which industries are slated to benefit the most?
Yeah, so first, the thing that you got to think about, most people say, well, we already have a private network. We have Wi-Fi, right? That's what they'll traditionally say to us. And IT departments have invested a lot of money into Wi-Fi. And if you ask them what their strategy is, they're going to tell you a brand name and a vendor that they use. But when you start to ask about how Wi-Fi works in, in conjunction to cellular, there are a few advantages that cellular has over Wi-Fi. The first is where you need high security. So if you think about cellular, it's built on a SIM card or hardware-based security. Wi-Fi is obviously software. Mobility is another area that private cellular works better than a Wi-Fi network. Wi-Fi networks are made to really pick up your laptop and move from one space to the next, and cellular is made to have, to be in use while mobile. Those are the things that really drive what industries would use it. So if you think about what industries need high security and mobility, you could think about manufacturing, machine-to-machine communication. You could think about distribution, automated pick, pack, ship. You could think about hospitals that need to keep information private for their patients, and they have the mobile carts that they move around. And then probably the fourth area would be education. Right? When you think about what they're using today in classrooms, whether it be VR headsets, the Apple Vision Pro, things like that, those are highly mobile applications, and you don't want to run those over, they'll really bog down a Wi-Fi network. So, for us, we look at it, it's manufacturing, warehousing and distribution, schools and hospitals are really the areas that we see private LTE and private 5G taking off.
Great. For those who are not familiar of private networks, can you explain how these are designed and commissioned? In terms of the infrastructure, who develops it and who maintains it? Also, who controls the traffic policies, network management, and security?
Yeah, so it is, this is one of the advantages that Wi-Fi has over it is you just buy that Wi-Fi access point, you plug it in and turn it on. It uses, wide open spectrum. Private cellular, it can be used in a couple manners. One is the carrier can provide it, and then they actually come in and they host a private network for you inside of your building, or the enterprise can deploy it. And basically what the enterprise is doing is they're deploying their own cellular core to run this. And so if you think about it, what you're really doing is you're building a small cellular network that is contained only in that building or only on that campus, right? So you have to have, SIM card based applications and hardware. So you think about phones, tablets, dongles that go onto PCs, scanners, things like that, two-way radios. These are all SIM card based applications. And then you have to have the core of the cellular network and then a radio. And so, once you implement those things, you then can implement quality of service, priority, just like we do today in cell phones. So if you think about cell phones, when you get on a public network, the carriers can throttle your data speeds, right? They can give priority of one customer over another customer. you can do the same exact thing in your private cellular network inside your building or on your campus. And so more and more people are looking at this and saying, cellular is less susceptible to interference. It has higher security. It really promotes mobility. And they're starting to look at it as an option to Wi-Fi. Now, what I will tell you, and I just want to make sure that I'm clear on this, I've brought up Wi-Fi a few times. It is not Wi-Fi or private cellular. It should be Wi-Fi and private cellular. They're really used for two different things. And I think they can live together, and I think more and more enterprises are realizing that it doesn't have to be one or the other. It can actually be both. And a lot of times when people first enter into private cellular, they actually bring in an integrator and have the integrator deploy it. It's a little mysterious to them. They're not used to managing RF cellular networks. But I think in time and as we have more larger corporations implementing it that have more complex IT organizations, you'll see all that come in-house.
Interesting. So, how do private 5G networks differ from private LTE in terms of infrastructure management and use cases?
Yeah, so primarily, it's just like your cell phone. People who want 5G want faster speeds, correct? That's what they're looking for. So when you think about this, the deployment is exactly the same. It's a SIM card, it's a cellular core, and it's a radio. Now, the cost to deploy 5G indoors is, it's about a 40% uplift between LTE and 5G. And so when you look at the speeds that you get with LTE, it does most of what we would say is our normal data throughput rates. You can do video, you can do all your data transfers. Where you see people wanting 5G, they're doing much larger data transmission, right? If you think about that hospital I talked about, they may be transferring over, image, from CAT scans and things between doctors and on the go to their iPads and things like that. That's when you'd really need to have a 5G network. I think as people look at this, everybody wants to see that 5G on their phone, right? Until they start to realize that there's a cost to implement that's a little bit higher, and then they have to weigh, do I really need to have that? Just the same way that they do when they go from Wi-Fi, 6 to 7. Is it time to do that cost? Do the applications justify it? Do the needs internally need it? But deployment is exactly the same.
Okay, so in your experience, what are some of the most glaring issues faced by operators as well as enterprises in deploying their private LTE and private 5G networks? And how do Nextivity's solutions address these challenges?
Yeah, so the first one is that it's just not as easy as what they're used to, right? Their IT departments. And so we try to make it very simple, and we try to help with the cost benefit analysis by saying we're going to give you public cellular coverage. So the system that we install will take the outdoor network for all the major carriers and retransmit it in the building. So you're getting public cellular. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to put private cellular over the same infrastructure. So it allows you to share the cost between public and private. So a lot of times vendors are coming in talking to you and just trying to deploy a private cellular network. And you've got to do that cost analysis against all that hardware, all the software, and all the integration for just private cellular. When you can put it across public and private cellular, it helps them with the ROI and the payback, first of all. That's the difference with Nextivity. But what I would tell you is the largest challenge for deployment is, number one, it's a little mysterious to people and they're just not quite comfortable with it yet. And second of all, the ecosystem to deploy it today isn't, as mature as, we would hope it would be. So just as an example, you may be operating on a laptop today. That laptop has Ethernet and Wi-Fi native to it. If you wanted to attach your laptop to a private cellular network, we'd have to be able to get a SIM card in it. So you'd have this dongle hanging off of it to get the SIM card. That's not clean. But you have companies like Zebra and others that are bringing out tablets, your iPad you can get with SIM cards today, scanners, handheld devices, the industrial notebooks, Things like that are starting to come out with the ability to support cellular. So I think as the ecosystem grows with devices and integrators, we're going to see it really kind of pick up. And I think as it gets deployed more, where people are unsure about it, success breeds success. People see other people use it, the use cases are out there, and then they'll start to trust it and do it, and it'll become more mature as a market for all of us.
Okay, so yeah, great insights. Thank you, Stephen, for your time and for sharing the information on the private LTE and 5G space and how Nextivity is helping to address the connectivity needs of modern organizations. Is there anything else that you want to add?
I just want to say that if people want to know about it, it actually costs you nothing to ask us to come out and talk to you about it. And so, Nextivity's, always here to help. And if anybody would like to reach out to us, we have people operating in each region of the world, and we'd be happy to sit down and talk to you. But I just want to thank you guys for having me on this Fast Mode podcast, and I've really enjoyed it, and hope your listeners did too.
Okay, thanks a lot. And that wraps up today's episode of the Fast Modes Quick Chat series. For everyone tuning in, visit nextivityinc.com to learn more and follow us for more updates and insights as we continue to uncover the latest in technology and telecommunications. See you in our next session.